Hi, I'm Mike Schnee.
And I'm Steve Schnee. And this is That's What Schnee Said.
I think it's time we knocked it right in the head. That's what Schnee said. Not recorded in front of a live audience.
How many times did we see the double feature Bonnie and Clyde and Bullet?
Once.
No, we saw it a couple times, you idiot.
It was definitely at the Gem Theater, for sure.
Yeah.
It was 72.
Yeah.
But maybe once or twice. I think we saw that bill somewhere else as well.
At the Gem Theater, we saw that bill, but I know that we saw that double bill a couple times. It's like those movies traveled together.
Yep.
Just as like matinee shows. Back, like I said, when we called them walk-ins, it was, there were like TV commercials advertising matinees, when we were kids, and
like a different movie playing, and then something would play. Yeah.
It was always you'd get Escape from Witch Mountain matinee or whatever, and then and that was only like once or twice, and it was always and then there were all these like UFO movies, Cherry to the Gods, stuff like that, and they were advertised as special showings like Kern County. Do you remember those commercials and stuff?
I remember the movies and the commercials. I don't remember Kern County.
It was never playing in Garden Grove or whatever. That particular movie.
We never saw those movies. I
saw one with Dad. He knew that Cherry to the Gods had come out, and we missed it. There was one. It's called The Outer Space Connection. And it was kind of like almost a sequel to Cherry to the Gods. And Dad knew that I really wanted to see it. So he just took me. Because I think that you had no interest. We're talking
75, 76, 77?
Somewhere around then. I was young, but not too young. But the interesting thing about it is...
It sounds like a Donny Osmond song. Young, but not too young.
Isn't it funny how... It's like, you and Dad went off and did these things together, whatever. But all of a sudden you're finding out this one thing that we did, and you're like digging me for it. Like, when was this?
When did me and Dad do something that wasn't with you?
I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there to go along with the 95, 97% and Donnie and Clyde.
It's all in your mind.
And it was kind of one of those weird double features. And it was an evening. And we went and we saw The Outer Space Connection, with all that typical UFO footage you saw back in the early 70s, the same stuff recycled over and over again. And the movie that it was playing with was just another one of those tag an old movie onto that and call it a double feature. And it was the movie The Reavers. With Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
So
I remember you talking about that because there was somebody's butt in that movie and you said it. I remember you talking about somebody's butt.
No, I don't think it was a butt. I think it might have been boobies or bosom. Because I remember 5 minutes into the movie, Dad goes, well, I think it's about time to go or whatever. So I don't think he wanted to explain anything to me.
Was this a drive-in?
No, it was a walk-in.
Okay. I totally remember you seeing this and talking about Dad leaving. Do you remember?
It was about 5 minutes into it, like the first booby shot, and I'd leave. I guess Dad didn't want me to experience that.
Remember, it may have been a James Bond movie that the opening movie, the also on the bill was Vanishing Point.
Oh, yeah.
They had some great nudity in that one.
I don't remember the nudity. I just remember the beginning and end of the movie. I can't tell you what the point is to the movie.
The point was the nudity. There was this girl that... But do you also remember when Dad took us and David De Leon, our neighbor, to go see A Name for Evil? I forget what it was about, but I think Robert Culp was in it. And this must have been 73, maybe 74, maybe 72, in that general area. And there being like frontal nudity. Like this one girl, they went skinny, she jumped off a cliff and her public hair was showing. And they jumped in. And I remember when Dad had no idea this may have been like the second movie that was playing. We may have gone to see something else that was a second movie.
Yeah.
And I remember David's mom comes yelling at Dad, "Why are you taking them?" You remember that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Dad didn't take us to see that.
No, and he didn't take us to see that. To see.
No, I know that, but I don't think that he would have taken us to see that movie. That was probably the second movie.
Yes, but going back to Planet of the Apes, do you remember before Conquest and Battle came out? Do you remember Dad worked at delivering newspapers as a second job at the LA Times? So he'd take us there once a couple Sundays, and we get there early in the morning, and we help him on his paper route.
Yeah.
And it was somewhere in Fountain Valley. And do you remember one night, probably was a weekend, he says, "We're gonna go ahead and get your get ready. We're going to the paper route. I got to go get something." And we're going, "Huh? What?" He goes, "Bring a pillow. And we're going, what? And then he started making popcorn, and we're going, "Why is he going to the?" Okay, all right. And we're kind of on to him, but we're not too sure. And then we're driving to where he usually works, and we're passing the drive-in theater, and we looked at the marquee, and it said, "Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes," and we're going, "Wow, look at that!" And Dad just kind of said, "All right." And at the very last second, he made a left turn and went into the drive-in, and that was the plan all along.
Oh, I don't remember that at all. But see, I just had this. I'm sure that I slept through both movies. If it was the drive-in, I remember going to see some movie when we were at the drive-in. It was me, you, and Dana and Dad, and I had my pajamas and my tennis shoes on, and that was about a year after that Kurt Russell movie came out called The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. So I remember all of you guys thought it was funny the way that I looked with my pajamas and my tennis shoes, and so Dad sort of chuckled, "The knucklehead who wore tennis shoes."
A Name for Evil, 1973.
Okay, A Name for Evil. Okay, so I was 10.
Robert Culp, Samantha Egger, so it must have been her bush we saw.
I had read it. Man, this is a PG-13 season. Oh my God.
Do you remember when Dad took us to see Harry in Your Pocket?
Harry in Your... Okay. No. Harry in Your Pocket?
Had James Coburn, had Michael Sarrazin, I think, and it had Dorsey Scott, his wife. She was in it, if my memory serves me correctly. Michael Sarrazin, James Coburn. James Coburn was a pickpocket, and he was teaching.
Okay, now that explains the title.
Harry in Your...
I was still thinking about the Samantha Egger.
Well, two things. Two things I remember about that movie was one, when James Coburn is kind of teaching them how to do it, and Michael Sarrazin is getting all cocky, and they're playing pool, and then Coburn says, "Hey, wait a minute! I taught you everything you know, not everything I know." And the other thing was to as a distraction, they had the girl up an escalator in a mini skirt, right? And I remember as she went up the escalator, the guys would kind of look at her panties, right? After the movie, I remember saying, "Dad, that is so stupid. That didn't make sense. Nobody would be looking like that." And he goes, "Well." I found out years later, but yeah, you do that. That's why I go to escalators.
Well, that's it for this episode of That's What Schnee Said.
I think it's time we knocked it right in the head. Oh, that's what Schnee said. Not recorded in front of a live audience.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.